Good morning, students. I'm Mansi Angne from Khernagar Secondary Municipal English School, Bandra East. And today we are going to learn lesson number 1, that is distributional map part 2. What we have learned yesterday, that was the distributional map part 1, and this is the distributional map part 2. So before going to part 2, what we have to do is that we have to recall what we have seen yesterday. So here is a slide in front of you, and let's zoom in. Let's recall. Now, yesterday we have seen about the content of ninth standard. What lessons are there in the ninth standard? What lessons we are going to grab in ninth standard? So the some lessons are based on the physical geography, and some lessons are there on the human geography, as well as the economic part is also inside included in the geography itself. So we have seen yesterday content, what each lesson is going to make us aware of, that also we have seen. Now next we have seen about what is map and what is the main aim of map. The main aim of map is to show the different variable. The map is also one tool of learning geography. It's a tool of learning earth. So with map, another tool is also globe that we have seen in our revision lectures. Now we have also seen what is thematic maps. By the name itself, we can make out that the word itself contains the meaning, that is the theme or an idea, which means the maps which are prepared by the spatial theme or idea is called as a thematic map. We have seen all the types of thematic map. Then we have also done the variables which are shown by the maps: annual rainfall, temperature, and different types of variable population which are shown by these maps. Now, distributional maps we have seen, that is, there are three main methods of distributional map. One is dot method, second was chloropath, and the third, which we are going to see today along with the chloropath, is isoplath. Yesterday, we have started with a dot method, students. First, it is first, it is used to show the variables freely scattered along the area, such as population, distribution of cattle. For this particular thing, mostly the dot method is used. Then we have seen how to read the dot map. We have also studied the dot map. We have also read the dot maps, its scale, its value of the variable, and we have seen the index. We have seen how to find out the directions. Then, uh, what you have to do is that what type of precautions you should take while making these dot maps and all that also we have seen. You have to consider the highest and the lowest value. It is in terms of all the maps, that is a dot and choroplath as well as isoplath. Then we have completed 1.1 Amravati district map exercise of dot method yesterday. We have also prepared making map of Nandurbar district. The Nandurbar district map is given in your textbook, and you have to trace it on the paper. Then how to insert a dots. Actually, the bigger figures are given in the table below the Nandurbar district map, but we have seen the technique of making out the dots, or how the dots are made by dividing. The formula for it is dividing the total population upon given scale, and you get the number of dots. So that is how we had made, we have got the number of dots, and we have made the Nandurbar district map. Then we have started with a chloropath map. We have also learned about the tint pattern. In the chloropath map, there were two types of pattern. that is a tint pattern and the black and white graded pattern. So we have learned both the patterns, how the tints are used from the darker to the lighter shade. The darker shade represent the highest value, and as the shades are going to lighter and lighter, the values goes on decreasing. Same in the case of an grade map, that is black and white shaded map. The darker shade represents the highest value, and then the values are just go on decreasing as the shade is getting lighter. Then we have solved those maps. We have done the exercise which was given below. Then the uses of chloropath map also we have seen. So let's continue today. What we are going to see today, just see in the next slide. Okay, we have already done about the dot method and the chloropath map. Now, student, open page number 5 and let's complete the exercise of this chloropath map. Before going to the isoplath map, today actually we are going to do the isoplath map along with the field visit. So this will be the today's content. But one map was left of chloropath method, that is figure 1.4. So let's start it. So before doing the exercise of any map, it is always important that you should read and study the map. Now, here in front of you is the map of Kolhapur district. The title of the map is the Kolhapur district density of rural population. So, this is the title of the map. You can see here Kolhapur district density of rural population. So here if you see the black and white pattern is used, black and white pattern of a map is used. Now what things are there? You can see here the shades are getting darker and lighter, and the different parts of the grids and dots and the squares are used over here, which represent the different classes. Now, as well as you can see here on the map, there is a scale given. There is a scale given along with the arrow. Okay, it's a linear type of scale. We have already learned in our revision part what types of scales are there. Okay, student, we have already learned the verbal scale, which is written in the verbal way. That is one dot is equal to 1,000 per person. So that is written in the verbal way. Then this is the linear way. So we have done the different scales, that is in the revision part. So this is the linear scale given here. Then the arrow is also there directing towards north side. It is always important that you should know the directions of the map. So opposite of the north is south, and other side, that is the right hand side, so that is the east. And I have told you what is the technique also. So right hand side, it is always what you can say, sun rises in the east. So I told you to relate that R and R rises and right, and then it's you will never forget it. So right, so that is the east side, and of course you will get a west side. Now why these directions are very important? Because the questions are asked on this particular uh, way, like which direction the density of population is increasing, which direction the density of population is decreasing. So that time, students, you cannot write the name of the places. You cannot write Kolhapur the density is increasing, you cannot write Shirol the density is decreasing. So that will be the wrong answer. Now here what is asked for you is the direction. So that is why learning this direction is very very important. Then you can see here in the corner, the density per square kilometer is given. Now in this, more than 400, it is given more than 400. You can see what type of pattern is used for this more than 400, to represent more than 400. Then what pattern is used to represent the 201 to 400? And what pattern? The dotted pattern is used to represent less than 200. So these are the things what you have to first learn before answering any type of questions which are related to this particular maps. And then you can see the places also which is given here. Okay, you can see the different places which is given here: Shahuwadi, Pannada, Kolhapur. So this is basically a Kolhapur district density of rural population map. Now we have to move towards the question and answer. Now, if we are going to read the question and answer, students, you refer in your textbook for the questions, because at the same time, it is very important that we should have a map in front of us when we are actually wanted to find out the question. So I'm not changing this slide so that you can go to the question. Now, first question, that is of 1.4 density of population, page number 5. First question, in which direction is the density of population decreasing? As I told you before only, what how to find out the directions, it is very important because this sort of questions you will get. So here it is asked, which direction the density of population is decreasing. Decreasing is becoming less. Now, if you see which source of value is given, that is the less than 200, the less than 200 is represented by the dots. Now we have to find out the direction. Now if you see this particular part, the north part which is there, the north part is having the dotted pattern which is telling us about the density less than 200. So here, north part is the answer, as well as where else you can see the density is decreasing also in the south. So your answer of the first question will be north and south direction. Now the second question is there. It tells us about name the talukas which population density is less than 200. Now less than 200, where you will get the same type of pattern. Now same type of pattern you will get. So where it is, we'll see, we'll check out in the, yes, less than, yeah, less than 200. You check out in the index what pattern is given over here. So name the talukas with a population density less than 200, means dotted pattern talukas you have to find out. Now, up in the north part, we have just now seen Shahuwadi, then Gagan Pauda, which is there, which is having a dotted pattern. Then Azra is there, and then Chandgarh is there. So these particular four things, four talukas are having the density of population less than 200. So we have got the answer for second one. Now we'll move to the third one. Name the talukas with the population density between 200 to 400. Now, 200 to 400, what pattern is given here? See, the pattern is given of the lines. Now, where you will find these lines, not grids, but lines, only simple lines are given. See, if you see the pattern here that is 200 to 400, you will find that the simple grids, not grids, but simple lines are given. Now we have to find out where actually this pattern is. So we'll find out here on the map anywhere. Only here two places can be seen with a lines. Now the answer of this third thing is Radhanagari and Budhargarh. So you can see here Radhanagari and Budhargarh. It is having the population between the 200 and 400. Now we'll go to the next question, question number 4. Name the talukas with the population density more than 400. Now for more than 400, what pattern is given here? Let's see, more than 400, the pattern is of grids. Okay, see the first one, first class, that is more than 400. So grid pattern is given here. If you observe the map carefully, you will see lot of places which are having the grid pattern. So here the population density is more. Now name those places. Pannara is there, Hatkalangle is there. Then here on the other side, if you little bit, Kolhapur is also there. Then Shiroi is there. So Karveer is there. Kagal is there and Gadinglas is there. So all these places are having what grid pattern, which tells us that the density is more than 400. Now, in which direction? Again, see the direction thing has come. In which directions are the talukas having higher density of population located in the district? Now, higher density of population, you can see it is represented by the grid pattern. Okay. So now direction it is asked. Now you cannot answer the question by giving the answer like Pannara, Kolhapur, Hatkadangle, Shirol. This will be your wrong answer. Because here what is asked is that here it is asked only direction. So in the same way, what you have to do is that you have to find out the direction of the maps. Now, how to find out the directions of the map? Now, here it is asked which talukas are having the highest density. You can see here it is a grid pattern. Now, where is actually which direction it is come through? Let's see the total map once again. So it is little in the north and little in the east. See, it is not going anywhere in the west side. It is little in the north and little in the east. It is not also in south side. So what your answer will be? Eastern and northeastern direction. So your answer will be eastern and northeastern direction. Now the last question is, which method has been used for preparing this map? So this type of question always comes as a last question. So the answer, students, all of you are knowing it. The answer is already there at the top of the map. What type of map it is? It is an choropleth map. So this was the only exercise which was left of the choropleth map. That is figure 1.4. I hope student you must have understood very well because I have explained each and every details how to read and how to find out the answers of the map. So for this type of questions always come in the board exams for 8 mark included reading and including feeling. So at that time you can easily get this type of you will get answer for this type of question because here you don't have to by heart anything. So this is the ready-made, what you can say, you can get a easy way of marks. Only things you should know some techniques and only things you should see the questions, read the questions carefully. Then only you will able to answer the questions. Now we have to move to the next method of distribution of map, and that is isopleth method. So let me change the slide. Now we have to go to the isopleth method, but before that, this particular thing you must have learned, which is related to the isopleth map, contour lines and isobars. Isoheights are there, different types of lines are there, which you must have seen in your lower classes. You can see here on the slide that are contour lines and isobars. Now the contour lines is taken for a little elevated places, a little higher places where these contour lines are there. Now in the contour line, you can see the index contour, then contour lines and contour interval. Now, in the same way, you can see the isobars are also there. So this is called as contour line and isobars. In this map, the distribution was shown with the help of the lines showing the equal value. So this is same in case of isopleth method. The distribution is shown by the lines, by using this type of line, by using the contour line, by using the isobar line, isoheight lines, different types of lines are there. By using the lines, the distribution are shown. Now, in the dot method, what we have seen, the distribution is shown by using the dots. In the choropleth map, we have seen the distribution is shown by using the tint pattern, that is the color pattern as well as the black and white shade. In the isoplath method, the distribution will be shown by this type of line. So in the isoplath method, the distribution is shown with the lines showing the equal value. What type of lines? The lines which are showing actually the equal value. Now let's move to the slide. Now this is your isoplath map of 1.3, that is page number 4. Now we are moving towards the new method, that is an isoplath method. When the distribution of variable is continuous, the isoplath method is used. Now when the distribution of the variable is continuous, means the same variable is given for what you can say a long period or a long area. You can see the most part of the, for example, if you take 1300, so which is other side 1300, so that particular whole area, if you wanted to count the annual rainfall and all, so the same variable is used or the same range is taken by, it is joined by the lines. So in this particular way, the isoplath maps are prepared. Now, isoplath method is used to show the distribution of what? Altitude, okay, how much the places are higher, that you can show by the contour lines. Then temperature is shown and the rainfall is shown. Now this type of variables which are there, temperature, rainfall, it will not be vary according to one particular area. So for examples, if you say the temperature will be in Santa Cruz, the same temperature will be followed to the lines which are coming in the way of Santa Cruz, Andheri, Bandra. So the same temperature will be followed for it. Now they are not going to count the temperature of each and everything. So it is presented in the map by the one line or the one main temperature, that is called as the iso lines. In the case of a rainfall also it is same. Now we actually needs, now what you actually need for this map, you needs an accurate data regarding the altitude, temperature and rainfall. It is assumed that the difference between altitude or rainfall of two places changes at the uniform rate. So it is assumed that this type of differentiation may changes at the uniform range. So this is what you have seen here, the isoplath map. What is the meaning of this isoplath map? Now move to the next slide. Now, in this isoplath map, one term is there which is called as the point related data. So, students, you can, when you read the lesson, you will come to know the isoplath map. In that particular this only paragraph that is in the page number 4, you will get to read this word point related data. Now, what is this point related data? The statistical data belongs to the respective place. Such data is known as the point related data. Whatever data which is respect to that particular place, it is called as the point related data. Now the point data exists when the features is associated with a single location. Whenever the single location is taken into consideration, that type of a data you can call this as a point related data. So we have understood what is point related data. So we'll go to the next slide, that is the steps to prepare the isoplath map. Now we have done how to prepare the dot method. We have done choropath map. Now we'll see what are the steps to prepare the isoplath map. If you see, some points are going in the same way for all the three types of method. Now students, let's see this. What you have to do in the isoplath map, the first thing is that you have to consider the highest and the lowest value. because what type of lines you're going to put, where you're going to give the interval. So everything is depend on what is your highest value and what is your lowest value. For example, your highest value is 100. And if you want to show the five classes, then you're going to take a lowest value for 20, then 40, then 60, then 80, then 100. So in the same way, it is very, very important for you to consider the highest and the lowest value of variables. Then the class interval is decided to show the to draw the isopath map. The class value is also important. Class interval is also important. How much you will take? 20 you will take, then 20 to 40 you will take, 40 to 60 you will take, or you will take 10 to 20, 20 to 30. So this is called as the class value. So everything is depend on your value. So that is why class intervals are decided. Then what step? Next step is what? Lines are drawn from the decided intervals. Means the location of the same values are joined. We have seen in the previous slide, the location was joined 800 to 800, 900 to 900. Means the places which are showing the same values are joined. So this is your third point. Then what these lines are indicating? Anyhow, the lines are not joined. The lines are having some meaning. The lines is actually telling you about something. When the lines are closer to each other, that remember that there is a step change. And when the lines are away from each other, there is a less or gentle change. So when the lines are closer to each other, it shows the steep change, pointed change, or the what you can say most change, more change, and the lines are away from each other, then they are showing a very slow change or gentle change. Now let's see figure 1.3. The same figure will come to. Let's see figure 1.3, the rainfall map of Amravati district, and try to study it. Okay, this is the rainfall map of Amravati district. You can see the title Amravati district average annual rainfall. Now, here you can see also the color is used as well as the lines are used. If you see this, the annual rainfall is counted for the places 800 to another place, that is 800. So here the lines are used. So the areas which comes along this will have the same type of annual average rainfall, means counted same type of annual average rainfalls. Then 900 to 900, the areas which are coming in this particular line will have the same average annual rainfall. So this is how it is made. Now next is there you can see the class interval. Okay, you can see the class interval over here. The average annual rainfall, that is the in millimeters, the class intervals are done over here. 800, 900. See, first they have started with a shade which is very, very darker. Then 1200, then 1100, 1900 and 800. So this is how the class interval is decided. Then the arrow is also their direction. We have already seen how to find out. Then the kilometers are given by the linear scale. So this is done with our reading part. So we have read the map, and now let's solve the exercise which is given below this particular map. Now here the first question is, in which part, see the questions which are given here. Uh, okay, in which part of the district the rainfall is more? Now, where is this question? This question is there on your page number 4. Now, which part of the district is the rainfall is more? Now, here you have to give the direction. Now, where it is the rainfall is more is shown by the darker shade. The rainfall more is shown by the darker shade. So, what you can see here, the northern part which is there. See here, the northern part which is there is having the having the more rainfall. Then which direction the rainfall is decreasing? Now, if you want to see the decreasing part, that is given the 800 value. That part you can see the down part which is there, the 800 value, that is the south. It is given in the southern direction. So the southern direction, the rainfall is decreasing. Okay, now let's move to the next question. What is the lowest value of the rainfall in the district? Now, what is the lowest value given here? The lowest value is 800. Now, you cannot say directly 800. You have to write like 700 to 800 is the lowest value. Now, just now we have studied how to read this isoplath map. Okay, we have completed what things are there. Then we'll go to the next map of isoplath. Now here this one more map is there, figure 1.5 rainfall. Now this is the title of the map is Kolhapur district average annual rainfall. Now in the same case you can see here the isolines are there which is actually joining the different values. Okay, now you can refer to your textbook also. The darker shade, the tint is used here, the darker shade, then lighter shade and the lighter shade. So here the lines are actually given. Now that is why this map is called as an isoplath map. So in the corner you can see the same direction is given. From direction we can make out which direction scale is given, as well as you can see here the class interval is given. The class interval is how much? It is 2400, 1800, 1200 and 600. This is regarding the rainfall in millimeters. Now we have done all this. Now let's find out the answers for the questions which are given below this 1.5 rainfall map. The first question is, in which direction is the rainfall more? Now, if you see the direction north, south, east, west, if you see the direction which is having a darker shade, you can see here it falls in the west side. So, in the direction, the rainfall is more in the west side. Now, second question, in which direction the rainfall is decreasing? Now, if you see the decreasing value, that is the light color, you can see here in the east side. So, in the east direction, the rainfall is decreasing. Now, which class shows the low rainfall category? Now, low rainfall category, the class which we have to find out. Now, class is what you have to go to the index. Now, here the last class is 600 millimeters. Now, you have to write 0 degree to 600 millimeters. This rainfall is, the class is showing the low rainfall. Then, next question is question number 4. Which class shows the higher rainfall category in the district? Now, which class is showing the higher rainfall category? The category is given here 2400. Now, you want to show, you cannot take the previous figure that is 1800 because it is not showing the highest category. Now, category is shown by 2400 means you have to take a upper figure more than 2400, that you can take it up to the 3000 millimeters. So your answer will be 2400 to 3000 millimeters. Now, which method is being used for preparing this map? So students, here the answer is isoplath method. So the isoplath method is used for preparing this map. Now, I think students, today we have covered all the 3 types of map. We have covered the dot method. We have done each and everything in detail of dot method, that is in the yesterday's lecture. We have already started with a chloropath map in the yesterday's lecture, as well as the today we have done with an isoplath map. Now, in dot method, the distribution is done with the help of dot. In the chloropath method, remember student, these things you have to remember. Dot method is used for the variables to show the variables freely scattered across the distance. Then chloropath method, that is the color tint pattern or the black and white, it is used to show the unemployment rate, employment rate. Okay, so vegetation and all, it is shown by chloropath map. Then the third which we have seen today is the isoplath method. Here the isolines are used to show the data on the map, which is used to show mostly the type of annual temperature, rainfall. So now we have covered all the three methods. Now one more thing is there in this lesson, and that is the field visit. Now let's move to the last part of the lesson, which is away from this, little away from this, but related to a geographical term, and that is an geographical field visit. Now this lesson is very very important, and that is why it is taken every for every year's textbook. It is there. Some of the other information related to the field visit is given every time in your textbook. Even in the lower classes also the field visit lessons are there. Then in the 8th standard also some concept was there. In ninth also we are having a concept along with the map. In 10th standard also the first lesson is also related with the field visit. So this field visit is very very important geographical term. Now let's move to the topic. This is very beautiful picture you can see on the screen here, that is related to the field trip or field visit. Now, this you must have heard in the previous classes. Now, students, everyone goes like to go for the outing, like to go for the picnics. Okay, you enjoy the school picnics, you like to go over there with your friends, with your teachers. But if you get to learn, then how interesting it will be, your field visit. So, here also you can see here on the slide that some students are there, they are observing the nature carefully. Now lot of things are there in the nature to be observed and to be studied. We don't observe it carefully, so we don't understand the magic, a natural magic. So when you stand on the road also, if you see the physiography of the road, you will find the slope, you will find the steep slope, then you will find some roads are having the turns. Somewhere you will find the plain area, somewhere mountains are there. When you go for the picnic, what we do, we just play over there, we just enjoy, and we just eat the stuff and we just come back. So this is not done. Now field visit means what? Field visit means actually going to the place and study over there. Now, field visit is an important study method in geography. It is very important study method. You can get to experience the geographical concept and element directly through the field visit. Now, directly through the field visit, you will get to experience, you can get to touch the thing, you will get to visualize, you can get to see the things, and then you will never forget it. Now, for example, we see the drawings in the books and we forget. But if you go to one particular place, for example, if you must have visited any of the sport, then you will never forget it for your lifetime. So this happens in the same way in the field visit. You get to learn more and you will never forget it when apart from learning from the textbooks. Now, field visits are extremely useful for understanding the correlation between the humans and environment. So, this is very, very important term for you. And that is why this field visit term is included in all the classes. Now, let's move preparation for the field visit. Now, students, you can see here the beautiful picture. Some students are going into a museum. They are going in a line. You can see here they are going in a queue. Teachers are there with them. You can see a transport also. It is there, a school bus which is utilized for this field visit. Okay, now let's see what preparations are there for the field visit. Now, whenever you want to go, somewhere we need to do the preparation. Now, if you want to go for your granny's place also, you will do the preparation. You will ask your mom to pack your good things, your best clothes, and you will decide what games you will take over there in your village. So this is called as the preparation. Now the same thing is required preparation for the field visit. Now before going to the field visit, decide the place and the purpose of the visit. Simply you cannot go anywhere. Simply you cannot go into the any of the market area is also a field visit, but just to go and roam over there and come, this is not done. So where actually you're going and why you're going there, what sort of knowledge you're going to get it, that is very very important. Which element you will observe. So it is very important to decide the place and the purpose of the place. Then next is that before going to that place, you will study the location map. Location map is very important. Where is the location situated? Then how far it will be? Location where it is crowded location or where it is a location away isolated location, that you have to see. Then location map, then the road map, how you're going to go, which route you're going to go, which will be the closest route instead of taking it round and round. So in order to avoid the further consequences or problems which are going to come, then it is very important to do the planning. So for that, this location map is very important. To study the location map is very important. Now, distance, transport duration. Distance, how much you're going to cover, then the time needs to cover this distance. Then you should have the time to go to the place. The more time should not go in the transport. The places should not be very far, that the maximum time is taken only for traveling. So this should not be done. So the distance, how much far is the spot, then what type of transport you are going to take for it, what will be the convenient for it, then how much time it will need, duration. So everything has to be planned. And the last very important point you can see here, students, on the screen, it's a questionnaire. Now what is this questionnaire? Questionnaire is the set of questions. Now for example, you're going to prepare a set of questions because this is very useful for you in the field visit. You will go in the field visit, and what type of questions you are going to ask the people. Suppose if you are going into the museum, then what questions you are going to ask to the person who is going to guide you for the museum. So everything you have to write and bring, and what things you have to get with you, that we are going to see in the further slide. Now we'll move to the next slide. Selection of study area. Now, geographical field visits are organized to study the various elements where you can get the maximum things to see. That type of element has to be selected. For example, physical landforms we have learned in the revision lecture. Students, we have seen many type of landforms. We have seen hills, mountains, plateaus, plains. So river banks, dams, coastal areas, then tourism sites, offices, then factories, dairies, museums. Related to geographical element, villages is also the one way to learn, that is in the can be part of the field visit. Then forest area, here on the slide also you can see the students are there with the teacher in the forest area. Now forest area, what they will do, they will see all the wildlife over there, they will see the vegetations over there, they will see what type of plants are growing over there, and also some physiography. Again, mountains areas also you can visit, hills also you can visit. Now elements where we can get to study should be selected for the field visit. So even if you take the field visit of a children to the nearby area where there is only plain area, there also you can teach the students what is called as plain, what type of vegetation grows on it, what is how the plain area is created, how it is fertile soil. So these things can be told to the students. Now, students, if you want to go to visit a field visit, then permission of that particular place is very, very important thing. Anywhere you cannot enter into any jungle, into any forest, into any museum. So the permission letter from your school is needed to be given for that particular area. So permission is very, very important for the field visit. Now we'll go to the next slide. Now, what things you're going to carry for the field visit? Now, of course, you're going to carry the things which is necessary for you. Now, here on the screen, you can see here the camera is there, the mobile phones are there, the hat is there, the diary is there, the map is there, the compass is there. Of course, the shoes are also there. So, what things you are going to carry for the field visit? It is also there in your textbook. That is on the last page, student. That is page number 7. You can see here what things you are going to carry for the field visit. Now, what things you're going to carry? You're going to carry a notebook, then a questionnaire, set of questions, then a pen you're going to carry, pencil you're going to carry, scale you're going to carry, tape, compass. Now, why the scale and tape? Now, scale and tape is taken to measure something. So you can measure something and you can write it, you can note it down in your book. Then compass to know the direction, which direction actually you are moving in which particular direction. Then a bag to collect the sample, if you want to collect the sample of the uh, of the of the leaves, if you want to collect the sample of a soil, if you want to collect the sample of a stones, shells. So all these things you can collect the samples. Now the maps to see the direction and location. You can also see here the map is also there. So the map is used to refer for the direction, and the camera also to click the photo. And nowadays mobile phones are used also. Then to see the photos of the binocular is also taken in this field visit. And also the another needed material you can also take for field visit. Now, this is about what things you're going to carry for your field visit. Let's move to the next slide. Now, here on the slide, you can see what precautions should be taken. Now, whenever you're going out, it is always necessary to take some precautions. Now, what precautions you're going to take so that your field trip will be a very good one, will be an enjoyable one, will be a knowledgeable one. For example, if you go to the field visit, you met with an accident, something happened over there, then it's not going to be good for you. It's not going to good for your classmates as well as your teachers. So that is why it is always necessary that you should take care of yourself also, as well as you should take care of others. So here on the screen you can see here, do not harm. Now whom you're not going to harm, and the second part of the screen is telling you about the first aid kit, which is always there in all the schools and which are taken for every field visit. The important material is first aid kit. It is very important to ensure the safety of ourselves and others during the field visit. Students should always listen of the teachers and obey the instruction, otherwise have to face the consequences. Students have to obey the teachers, whatever instructions are given by the teachers. So sometimes the students are given the instruction that they have to walk in the queue, then they have to put the hat to avoid themselves from the hot sun, then they should not push each other while walking. So this type of the things has to be all the instruction has to be kept in the mind, otherwise the students may have the problems. You should not go to the unknown remote places and try to be in the group. Now, students should not go away from their group or the teachers. They may get lost over there. The site they have visited will be the new one for them, and afterwards they may lost in that field visit site. So that is why it's very important that always stay in the group. So during the field visit, you should try to understand the local circumstances by talking with the local people. When you're going to one particular place, when you're going to, for example, village, when you're going a village for a field visit, you should talk with the people. You should try to understand what is the local circumstances of that particular village. And it is important thing that do not harm the environment in the way of field visit. Now, some students are having a very bad habit. Now, if you are taken into the garden for the field visit to show the flora and fauna, that time what you do, what some students are doing, they just pluck on the flowers and throw it down. So this is very wrong habit. When you are taken into any of the fort or any of the museum, the students, they just scribble on the walls of the fort. They just write something with the chalks. Now nobody is like, the nobody care like what you write and what is written over there. Of course the forts are not built by the students. Nobody will be name that fort by the name what is written on the wall. So it is very very important for you is that you are not going to litter the place. You're not going to throw any the wrappers, then as well as you're not going to harm the environment, as well as you're not going to write anything on the wall. So these are the precautions. It is there in your textbook that what precautions should be taken. Now first aid box is very very important. First aid should be kept in emergency circumstances. And when you come from the field visit, uh, also that is a work for you. Now why this first aid box should be kept? For example, something happened, children fell down, they don't feel good, their health goes wrong. So that time a first aid kit should be there in order to, not to spoil the field trip of everyone, so the person can be made relaxed with this first aid kit. Now we'll go to the next slide. Now, see here, the next slide tells you about the report writing. Now, you're going to the field work, enjoying it, just writing in questionnaire, just copying getting the samples is not over. When you come from a field visit, another work is there for you. And what is that? That is the report writing. And what you're going to write in the report, you're going to start with an introduction. You're going to introduce that today we have went on the place and this was the place, then the location map and the route map, and you're going to tell about the location, then route which you followed, physiography. Now when you went into that particular place, what things you have seen in that particular place, what type of physiography was there, plains were there, mountains were there, hilly area, whether it was a jungle area, whether it was a wildlife sanctuary, so river bank. So you have to tell about the physiography. Now what climate was there? It was a hot sun, it was an a monsoon type of a climate. What climate was there? It was a raining, it was winter. Then population, if you're going to the field visit for the village, for example, what is the population of that particular area? So that also you must able to write in the field visit. For example, if you consider the population of Mumbai itself, the Mumbai's population is 1 crore 20 lakhs. So round about 1 crore 20 lakhs. So in the same way, if you go to a village, then the village population will be very less, around about 20,000, 40,000. So that population also you must have the details. Then environmental problems and measures. What environmental problems are there? Soil erosion occurs and tsunami occurs. What measures are taken to avoid from this type of environmental problem? Then land utilization, how the land is utilized, how much land is utilized for settlement and cultivation. Then conclusion. Now the whole field visit, what you have learned, it will come into your concluding part. So this is the last part of your lesson, first lesson, distribution of distributional map, and I think we have grabbed everything. Not even a single thing will be left inside of that distributional map lesson. That is lesson number one. We have grabbed everything. We have learned dot method, isoplath method, choroplath method. We have went into the details of geographical field visit, which is very, very important. We have also seen what precautions should be taken, how what things to carry, and we have done with the whole lesson. And students, thank you very much. So, just a revision part of it. Just we have started with the lesson, then we have done the recall part, then we have done the chloropath map 1.4 figure. We have done question and answer. We have seen what is contour and isobars, which is related to isoplath map. We have done isoplath map 1.3. Then we have seen what is the meaning of point related data. Then we have seen what are the steps to prepare the isoplath map. Then today we have seen the isoplath map. This particular 1.3 we have done the exercise. Then we have seen the isoplath map 1.5 rainfall. We have completed exercise. Then we have come through the field visit, the last part of your lesson. Then we have seen the preparation of the field visit, what things are needed for the preparation of the field visit, how the students should prepare themselves for the field visit, very important. Then we have seen the selection of the study area, which areas can be selected as the study for field visit. Then what things should be carried for field visit, then what precautions should be taken for field visit. You should not harm the environment. You should take care of yourself also and carry the first aid box. Then we have seen the last part of the lesson, and that was report writing based on the field visit which you have gone through. And with this, we have completed with our first lesson, that is the distributional map. And next lecture, geography lecture, will be lesson number 2. I think students will not have a single problem for this lesson number 1, because we have covered each and everything. So next lesson will be an endogenetic movement, that is endogenetic movement lesson number 2. So that we are going to start, uh, that is in the next week. Next Friday, we'll meet you with the lesson number 2, endogenetic movement. And thank you, students. If you're having any queries, you can ask related to this particular lesson. Thank you, ma'am. I've done with my lecture. Students, now you will have the short break and then you will have the next lecture.